And somebody whose job everybody in the country thinks he can do better than he can. Ladies and gentlemen, the manager of the England football team, Graham Taylor. Right. Graham, good to see you. Do take a seat.
Nice to see you.
Right. Excellent. Now,
before we start...
I haven't been selected, have I?
You have. I select anybody these days.
Oh, there we are. Fantastic. You've tried everybody else, but...
Well, there we are.
But it's true what I said in just, bringing you on there, that everybody in the country thinks they can do your job better than you. Every England manager finds this, and... I mean, when you're meeting sort of taxi drivers and everything and people at parties, they all sort of think, now, what you want to do is you should have played the...
Well, that's an easy answer. I just take the wheel and move the taxi driver to the back of the cab and drive their taxi for them.
Yeah. And can you manage that?
Just about.
I remember years and years ago I overheard somebody saying that Don Revie was the manager at the time, and they said, oh, I met that Don Revie at a party, and I told him what to do. And every male person who's remotely interested in football must be giving you advice.
But that's not bad, is it? I mean, it's a good thing because it shows the passion for the game.
Yeah. Do you ever think about taking it?
Well, you don't really, do you? You just sort of, I mean, it's like now, you just look at people and just listen to what they say and don't take any notice of them at all.
Yeah. That's what I do, but this is my little personal theory that it might be a time to consider having a British team rather than an English team.
No.
Never. Somebody said that in Swedish. They want some easy victories, but even at the sort of the manager level, there's some very good Scottish managers that have been around over the years. I'm not trying to do you out of a job, but if there was a British team managed, say, by...
Scottish manager's trying to do me out the job every time I pick a side.
Yeah, but there's... well, there is that, but I mean, supposing you had Kenny Dalglish managing a British team, he might just about as well as you as the manager of the national side, wouldn't you think?
Well, I would think that it'd be... I mean, they'd take great notice of what he says. That's the art of management, and this is why Kenny's so good.
Yeah.
That you talk a lot, but they don't understand what you're saying, and then they just go out and do it. Basically.
Well, that was another thing that the quality you brought to being the manager was that you were good with dealing with the press, but that seems to have...
Do you think so?
Well, but there was another thing. Your father was a journalist, and you were capable of dealing with the press over your years, being managers of Lincoln and Watford and everything. That was a quality you were bringing, but that seems to have gone a bit sour.
Well, I don't think I mean, I'm only suffering and have suffered what all English managers have suffered. Because at the end, if the results are not what people want them to be, then you hone in on one man.
Yes.
And that happens to be the England manager.
What people want them to be are wins rather than draws and losses.
Well,
that's my tip, anyway.
Well, and we don't do that very well, so that's why I'm like any other...
Well, you were singled out for that rather, I suppose, a puerile joke really about you being a turnip and all that sort of thing. I mean, does that worry you, or does that make you boil, or do you get cut up about it, or what?
Actually, my daughter quite liked it, actually. She thought it was quite funny.
Yes.
I mean, you don't get
I've got
upset.
daughters like
you
that.
Don't, you don't get so upset with that kind of thing. I mean, as a public figure, you end up being Lapoon, don't you? It's passed on to John Major. I don't know whether that's anything that I should be pleased about or anything like that.
Well, a bit. No, maybe you should swap jobs. I mean, you couldn't do much worse at running the government, and he...
I think looking at the press, it depends how important a part you want it to play in your life, and I've never really thought that it's something that you should get over-concerned about, even when they're saying good things about it.
Yeah. I'm not characterising personally, but it always seems to be over the years that there's always some difficulty getting really skilled, elegant players into England international times. I mean, going back, it was always going to be Greaves that was left out. It was always Hoddle that couldn't make it into the side.
But he made it 50-odd times, and Greavesy made it, 40, 50 times.
Yes, but why is it these skillful players seem to be the ones that, I don't know, England managers seem to be nervous about?
Well, I don't think they are nervous about them. I mean, people won't agree with me there. What I actually think is that it doesn't matter that talent alone will probably get you runners-up place, but applied talent, you get a chance of winning.
But leaving out talent, that's...
Well, I don't think... But I don't think talent is left out when you've played over 50 times for your country.
No, but there's, there's never a chance, it seems, the Batties and the Butchers, the sort of, the strong workmanlike players, there's never a chance they'll be left out. But as I say, the Hoddles and... I mean, the sort of famous thing now with your career so far is the decision to take Gary Lineker off 20 minutes from the end. It's always going to be like a striker like that who's going to be removed and not...
Well, no, I mean, that was an exceptional thing in terms that... because obviously the position that Gary was in. It was a pure football decision. If I'd been a sort of, I suppose, political man, I would never have made that decision. I would have left him on right to the end because it opened myself up to so many things about so-called personal dislikes and all of the situation, which was completely wrong.
But do you regret it? Do you regret taking him off now? Was that?
I regret taking Gary off because of the situation that people felt it was. You're accused of a non-football decision, which I find very hard to accept.
Well, it may be discussed as a non-football decision in some quarters, but in other quarters it's discussed as just a football decision. He's like the leading scorer for England. I mean, how many goals he'd scored? It's almost the record for Bobby Charlton. You took him, and you're left with, well, Platt, who scored, I don't know, 14 goals or something for England like that, and nobody else has really scored for years.
No, but what was very important in that second half...
Well, it's true. I was checking this. The squad you've just selected, the second highest goal scorer in the squad of 20-odd players is Tony Adams.
Well,
he's an Arsenal player and obviously good.
Well, the point is they can't.
But he's a defender, and
but
he
they
comes
can't
up
do
for
that
corners.
because Lineker's been playing, hasn't he?
Yes.
He's been playing.
Oh, why did you take him off then?
Because at the end of the day, the decision basically was there. We've got to get the ball sticking in front. The game was running totally out of us. And I think it would be fair to say that Gary himself probably, he'd not probably had the best of competitions. Anyhow. I think that's the best way to do it. Purely football decision.
Yes, but nobody really in the England camp had the best of tournaments because there was two losses and a draw bottom of the easier group.
It was the easier group. Do me a favour,
Well, I know it had Denmark in it who won, but the UK, you played them just as they were coming back off their holidays. They weren't expecting to be there. That was the time you could have finished them off.
No, we didn't do that. That's a complete myth. That wasn't the case.
Well, I speak as a Scotland supporter, and Scotland always play in the group with Brazil, West Germany, the United Asia and Africa team, whereas England are always playing with San Marino, the Boy Scouts of Monte Carlo, and they're playing at home so they can win. So it always seems to be a bit unfair. And you did say it was the easier group.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
no, come on, get your facts right.
Oh, I read you saying it was the easier group.
Oh, well, you believe everything.
You wanted to be in West Germany, did you?
Well, because at the end, I think that the two groups, when you're talking about 8 teams in a European Championship, there's not such a thing as an easier group.
No.
It just isn't in.
No. All right. Now, in your... well, apparently not. But in your team, you've got Laurie McMenemy as your assistant manager. I was suggesting you really, if you're going to get a football TV pundit, you should have got Jimmy Hill to help you out, because...
Well, Jimmy tries to help, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, I was only suggesting... I mean, we wouldn't have to listen to him if you had.
Yeah. No, I mean, the TV pundits, the experts, as you quite rightly said, when they're all there and they want to pass their opinion and give their opinion. It's up to you whether you want to take any notice of it.
Now, the other thing you seem to, as I understand, I've probably got my facts wrong here, but you like to encourage a sort of more rounded approach with your players. You take them out to the theatre and everything. Is that right?
Well, we have these 6-day preparations, and I think that, in that 6 days, obviously it's very important. The build-up to the international is very intense in many respects. Everybody's concentrating on it. But there has to be the bit of time for the fun and the bit of time for relaxation. Yes. We have visited 1 or 2 places.
So what, have you been to see An Evening with Gary Lineker?
We have.
Yes. Or did Alan Smith come on in the second half?
No, we have actually been to see that before we went to Sweden.
Well, now, back before the 1966 World Cup, Sir Alf Ramsey, as he became, said, England will win the World Cup. He said that, put himself on the line. Can I ask you, could you here and now say that England will qualify for the World Cup?
England will qualify for the World Cup.
All right, you heard it here first, whether you believe it or not. Anyway, thanks for joining us, Graham Taylor. Thank you. All right. That's all we've got time for. Just